Communication is vitally important in a relationship. So many relationships are strained because of misunderstandings. Statistically, it is said that 70 to 75% of communication is misunderstood or interpreted incorrectly. Whether that percentage is correct or not, a great deal of communication is not clear or clearly understood. We all know what it feels like to have thought we stated something as clearly as possible and then had it misunderstood. If you really want to experience that, try teaching math. We have all been on the other end, I'm sure, where we thought we understood something clearly but did not. Thus, understanding how to communicate is very important in any type of communication, whether it is with family, friends, co-workers, your girlfriend or boyfriend, or your spouse. So many marriages fail because of poor communication. On the other hand, many marriages fail because of very clear communication. If there is great contempt for the other, hate, anger, and loathing are easy to clearly communicate. Many therapists have had couples complain that they don't communicate well when their problem is not that they can't communicate, but what they are communicating, as there is underlying contempt. In this video, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm addressing communication issues, not issues of contempt. The basis of good communication is respect and trust. Without either, good communication cannot happen. Without trust, people will not believe what the person is saying, even if it is communicated effectively. If one side does not trust that the other understands his feelings, motives, and self-interest, then there will be a negative filter that prevents communication because anything the other person says will be discounted as not trustworthy. Therefore, not true if the person doesn't wish to believe it. Respect is also needed. There really cannot be relationships without some level of respect and trust. If there is no respect, it doesn't matter what either person says, as it will be discounted. Now, that being said, assuming there is at least a basic level of trust and respect, let's talk about communication. There are miscommunications, such as not being clear as to when or where to meet or things like that. And those are a matter of verifying to make sure the information is correct. In this video, I want to talk about communication to understand each other's needs and feelings. Feelings are hard to understand and are often hard to put into words. So an important aspect of communication is learning to listen to understand. This is a great skill to have for spouses, children, or anyone you care about. Years ago, when we only had 3 children, my husband and I were asked to try out a new parenting course our church social services had developed because they wanted input from parents that had happy marriages and strong families. The most important lesson in the parenting course was that of listening to understand. First, when someone needs to talk, put away all distractions. Show you are interested by putting down the cell phone, the newspaper, or the book. Turn off the TV. Give them your undivided attention. This assures them that they are important and being listened to. Next, when they speak, listen not only for what they say, but what they mean and what they feel. Men are particularly bad about taking statements at face value. If a man's daughter comes downstairs and says, "I don't want to go to the dance tonight," he will likely respond, "Fine, don't go." That isn't listening to understand. Likely the daughter really does want to go, but her statement that she doesn't means that she feels ugly, that she is afraid she won't get danced with, or that she will embarrass herself because she isn't a good dancer, or something along those lines. Thus, statements are not always what they are at face value. When listening to understand, ask questions to clarify and make sure you are understanding. Be careful with why questions. There is nothing wrong with asking them if you ask something like, "Why don't you want to go?" But why questions can be accusatory. So avoid questions like, "Why would you want to do that?" Or "Why would you do something like that?" Asking questions shows you are trying to understand and gives you more information. This is not an interrogation, but a prompt to gain understanding and get the person to explain how he feels and what is really going on in his head. As he speaks, paraphrase back what he says, focusing on understanding, not just his words. This is not parroting. I have talked to people who were on their phones or reading a paper and felt not listened to at all. When I asked, "Are you listening?" they said yes, and repeated the last sentence I said. Yes, they heard the words, but they didn't process them. They don't understand the feeling behind them. So don't parrot, paraphrase, and focus on understanding. For example, suppose that your daughter complains that no one likes her. Doubtfully, this is true, but her feeling is real. So you ask a clarifying question, such as, "What makes you feel that way?" And she answers that she was the last person picked when picking soccer teams in gym class. Then, after an appropriate, "I'm sorry, that sucks," a good response is, "Correct me if I'm wrong, but you feel like you are not liked because you aren't a good soccer player?" This shows interest in not just what is wrong, but her feelings, and it helps you understand them. Now she can respond, "Yes, I need to learn to play soccer." Or she can respond, "No, I play better than most of the girls in my class, but Bob and Jim were the team captains, and they chose the popular people first." Now there is more introduced into this. She isn't having feelings just about how she plays soccer or if she is liked, but she's struggling with not being popular. A follow up question might be, "Do you want to be more popular?" Suppose she responds, "No, most of the popular people are jerks." Now there is more information. Perhaps your response may be, "Correct me if I'm wrong, you don't want to be in the popular group, but you feel you aren't popular enough and want to have more friends." This kind of rephrasing and seeing if you really understand helps to clarify if you do and helps the person to correct you where you are wrong. The "correct me if I'm wrong" is a very good statement. Many times people don't really know how they feel, but when you state how you think they feel, they can correct it. So giving them that prompt helps them understand their own feelings better. Also saying "correct me if I'm wrong" is telling them that you aren't telling them how they feel or thinking you know better than them, but are trying to understand. Listen truly to understand. Too many people listen to advise, not understand. But until you truly understand, your advice won't be good. This leads me to the idea of helping people solve problems. Men say that when women come to them, they don't want them to solve their problems. They only want to complain or be listened to and don't care if the problem is actually solved. This isn't actually true. We do want to solve our problems, not just vent them. At least most women I know do. The thing is that guys tend to do the "fine, don't go to the dance" solutions, giving the obvious solution to what they see as the problem, but the problem is deeper. Thus, when we are sounding like we just want to be listened to and not have our problems solved, we are really trying to get you to be a sounding board so we can understand what is really bothering us and solve it ourselves. When helping someone solve an emotional problem or helping them make a decision of what they should do, the Socratic method is very helpful. Socrates used to like to question people until they came to a contradiction and then point it out. Now, in helping people, we aren't trying to get them to contradict themselves, but to understand. Thus, a great thing to do is to question them so you understand and they do too. Rather than giving a solution, ask, "Would this work?" Or "What would happen if?" Even better, let them come up with solutions and respond, "Okay, that sounds good, but that could have this effect. Have you thought about that?" The best kind of listening I have found is combining listening to understand and the Socratic method. This is where the strongest communication takes place. If that communication is coupled with trust, respect, and love, that's even better. That's it for this video on communication. I can only cover so much, but good communication is good to understand for characters or real life. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Feel free to give your best advice on communication.